Hello, my name is Abdoulaye Diack. I'm a research program manager for Google AI. My background is engineering, IT, telco, and then more lately, artificial intelligence. I've been working for the Google AI Lab in Ghana for the past 5 years. My focus is talent building programming research, as well as leading applied AI projects. Our AI projects are the goal of our project is to tackle some of the challenges that we have in this region, and one of the challenge that we addressed was the lack of good quality maps in Africa. And so we ended up building a model that can detect buildings and roads all over the continent. And this worked out so well that we ended up doing it for the whole global south. And we actually open source the data so anyone can download those footprints of so many countries today after work. Some of my colleagues are working on detecting floods in advance, as well as using AI to do damage assessment after major disaster like earthquakes or major flooding. And then using AI, this takes, a few hours, and before AI, this will have taken years. So we are indeed living in a very special time, and all this work is quite exciting. I would say one of the most pressing challenges is simply awareness. In 2023, we've seen an AI explosion year, right? It is now becoming mainstream in the West. It is not the case for our region. It is still a very small circle. It is still mostly students and people in IT. Although this is now spreading, and we're seeing more and more people aware, but I still think there's a lot of work to be done as far as of awareness. And then one of the other challenge that I see also in my own project is the lack of data in Africa, and this is very common. This is due to the lack of digital transformation. Although I find it very interesting that some people are using AI to actually accelerate digital transformation. Then again, I think one of the big challenges is our languages, right? So we are seeing right now an open source model, open source AI model revolution. People are building up at the moment on open source model, which actually mostly work for Western languages. And so this is another challenge, and also I would argue an opportunity is to get those models to work for African languages. How do we address this? So we partner, with some of the local institutes like universities, and we help them to basically build data sets so that African languages can be included. And then as well, looking at maps, again, we have addressed that by using AI to improve maps. So those are a few examples of how we are addressing those challenges as well. I find that the state of AI development in Africa is quite interesting. It is mostly community driven. Just last year in Ghana, we had the Deep Learning Indaba conference. We welcome over 1,000 AI practitioners, researchers, engineers. So that was very interesting. So there's a lot of community activity on the continent, and I don't see that anywhere else. And we also have programs like AIMS AMI in Senegal, Carnegie Mellon University in Rwanda, and they all basically train people in AI and research. So that is interesting because then you have a pool of talent in Africa that is available. On the startup side, I find that really interesting. They are facing the same challenges that we do, which is the lack of data, but that forces everyone to innovate. Google has an incubator program, and we welcome many startup end of last year in our office, and I was lucky to interact with some of them. One example is Logistify in East Africa that uses computer vision AI to monitor industrial warehouse all over East Africa. And I also met Fastager, which understand the power of AI model offline, and they use that for education services and so on. I've also met Gary Logistics, which basically fine tune an open source model so that it could work in Amharic, and that is used to communicate with the drivers. So there's a lot of innovation, and there's a lot of AI research happening on the continent, and I found that all that very interesting. My aspirations for the future of AI in Africa is AI that works for Africans. I think that starts with language. Languages are is the key to everything, whether it's health or all basic services. And so it is a big challenge because African languages are low resource. There are not really a lot of data sets available, so it's really difficult to build AI models. Although it is a challenge, I think it's also an opportunity for local startups and institutions to make sure that African languages are included into AI. Um, the areas that I'm most excited about are the most difficult one. So agriculture, we ourselves, been involved in building apps that can detect disease in plants using AI. So that's for agriculture. There's a lot of potential, I think. In education, the fact that we have all those tools now available, including potentially having those tools working now offline, I think will go a long way when we look at all the connectivity challenges we have on the continent, and I would say logistics as well, health. So today we are able to detect in advance certain disease like diabetes by just scanning images of your retina, and we are also able to estimate the baby's age, onboard babies using AI. So there are a lot of I think potential in those fields.